That's right, boys and girls. It's finished. My Hackenbusche is finished. Huh? What do you think? Yeah, not gorgeous, but not bad, huh? In fact, the only problem I've been having with it so far is keeping this homemade uh, slow match lit. Let's load her up and try it again. This is the only problem I'm having so far, is homemade slow match. All right, let's try it again. That's better. Okay, so the Hackenbusche. Let's get back in the shade and talk about it for a bit. Boy, like I said, I had to wait until it was the hottest part of the day to get out here and shoot, and I got so much sweat running down in my eyes. I'm surprised that slow match is even burning. But yes, as you can see, it's finished. So you might be thinking, well, what happened? I mean, the last time I just finished up the barrel, and before that I was still sanding on the stock. Well, that was 2 weeks ago, and yeah, I finished it up. So here's the thing. YouTube has got kind of an unofficial policy where they don't mind people making pro gun videos, but they don't want people making how-to instructional videos showing step-by-step instructions of anything that goes boom or bang. In fact, a couple of other YouTubers have had their videos pulled and got demonetized temporarily of the version of YouTube jail for even, well, one was for even just doing a build-along series of videos on how to make a flintlock rifle from a kit. So, in keeping in the spirit of that policy, yeah, there's a few things missing from the actual build on this, but you can see I got the spike installed, I got the hold downs on, and I added the serpentine lever, and it shoots great. It's just a question of figuring out how to aim it, because it doesn't have a stock as such. I mean, it doesn't have a shoulder stock here. There are no sights. There's no way, there's no way to get down really and see where it's going to. You can't, it's too straight. So you just got to shoot a few times and figure it out. Now, in keeping with the spirit of this 15th century gun, I made my own slow match, which you saw, which is the only part of this equation that I'm really having any problems with. And I'm shooting serpentine powder using the same mixture that they used back in the 15th century. That would be 60% by weight potassium nitrate, 20% charcoal, and 20% sulfur. And it burns a little more slowly than modern powder. Doesn't generate the higher chamber pressures, has a different pressure curve, but it gets the job done. And you just have to load more powder is really what it comes down to. But it works. And yeah, I'm going to load this thing up and shoot it a couple more times. So before that, I want to talk a little bit about the historic significance of the Hackenbusche. Handguns certainly existed long before the Hackenbusche, but they were cast in one piece out of bronze or iron and then just stuck on the end of a wooden pole. The pole was just there to hold the gun out away from the shooter's face. Didn't really serve any other function. And they had a habit of rupturing and blowing up a lot. Then, in the early 1400s, there was a fundamental shift among German gunsmiths in looking at how these newfangled firearms were going to be manufactured. And you can see it in the Hackenbusche. First, you start with the barrel. Now this is a modern barrel. It had been machined out of a single piece. Had it been an original barrel, this would have been made out of 8 pieces of iron. You got these rings are separate. You got a tube here that's made out of a flat piece of iron, molded around a mandrel and then forge welded down. You got another tube fit inside of that. Then you've got a solid breech plug in that. And they didn't have tap and die technology yet. That wouldn't be invented for about another 100 years. So they did a really ingenious method. They would heat the barrel to expand it, slide in this tube, heat it up to expand it, and then slide in the plug, and then the whole thing would cool down, shrink around it. The problem was that plug had a habit of loosening up and then blowing out back right into the shooter's face. So they took a next approach, and that is they recessed the barrel down into the wood. The idea being that this section of the wood here reinforces the plug, and if it does loosen up, it won't blow out. But this is the first time that gunsmiths start thinking of the wood as part of the machine, part of the device. It stops being just a piece of wood to hold the gun out away from the shooter, and it becomes the first proper gun stock. I mean, it's got a lot of evolution to go through, a lot of development coming up, but it's the first time the barrel is recessed down into the wood. It's cradled and supported by the wood. The two now are working together to form a single firearm. And then when they added the serpentine lever, which admittedly already existed, but this was the first time that you see all of these elements coming together in the same firearm. You got the very beginnings of your lock, your stock, and your barrel. Which, by the way, you ever wonder why a gun barrel is called a barrel? You ever wonder about that? Well, it's because the early cannons, which were called bombards at the time, were made by shaping iron staves around a mandrel and then hammering on red hot iron hoops, iron bands for reinforcing. And to people looking at them, it looked a lot like how wooden barrels were made. So they just started calling them gunna barrels. So there you have it, gun barrel. So let's get loaded up again and try it one more time. You know what? I think I'm going to change targets though. Let's try a 2-liter soda bottle. And this time I'm going to get a little closer so I know I can't miss. This is the only real problem I'm having. So I keep taking my earplugs out. This thing is loud. You know what? I bet you I could miss this from here. Let's find out. Well, not as dramatic as I had hoped for, but I got him. See? And I thought I was aiming low. That's why I didn't explode. You got to aim really low with this thing. You know, it's got some soda left in it. Let's try it again. And I'll show you how I load it. Okay, so loading it is not as complicated as you might think it would be. Basically, all I'm going to do is measure some powder. I'm going to make sure that's out. This is out, but I'm going to take it off anyway. And you just take some serpentine powder, and it's just 60-20-20 ball milled for 24 hours. And you'll notice I'm not measuring. Well, I kind of sort of am, but not really. They didn't have measures then. That's how they would do it. They would you just pour some down. You practice with it enough that you learn how much you need to put down the barrel, and that's how you do it. Then, I don't know if they did this or not, but I'm going to put a little bit of cotton on top and a .690-inch lead ball. And actually, they did use inches in the 1400s, thanks to Queen Elizabeth. And some more cotton. They had the inch, the foot, the yard, and the mile. But they did not have grams And I don't have a ram, so I'm using a scouring stick here. They didn't have grains or grams. Now's where the fun part starts, because now I got to light fire. I got to light this slow match, which you've seen me doing, blowing on it. Get it in here, put some powder in the touch hole, and light it. So let's put a little powder in the touch hole. And just to be on the safe side, I'll cover that up. And this is where it starts getting a little dangerous, because I got to get a fire near this thing. I got to get this burning, stick it in here, and then go for the, well, this is not a really good design, but it's a lot better than what they had. It would just get better over time. So let's get the camera set back up and try it out. Okay, let's fire this thing up. I got him. Finally. If I could get him in real life to stand still that long. Okay, well, that slow match turned out to be more like a no match. So I'm going to cheat on this last shot. I definitely got to do some work on this. Well, yeah, I got him. Wow. Well, not my favorite weapon, and you can see why it was very quickly surpassed by the matchlock musket. It was a step up, however, from the pipe on a pole that came before it, but still, more hit than, or more miss than hit, actually. But that close range, when it worked, it could work pretty well, well enough anyway. So, yeah, the Hackenbusche, cool, huh? Okay, thanks for watching, and be sure and tune in on the next build. See you next time.